Welcome to the Wanderers Cooking Series. I'm Edith Andrews, and my colleagues are...
Hi everyone, I'm Kim Ferreira. I'm a registered dietitian and also the wellness coordinator at Coastline Elderly in New Bedford. We have a special guest today.
Good morning.
Chuck. He is the president of Coastline Elderly Services. And Chuck, do you want to talk a little bit about your experience and your past with Coastline?
Sure, I've been a member of the board of Coastline Elderly Services for the past 6 years, currently serving as president of the organization, member of the governance board, and president of the executive board. So
Wonderful.
It's a very fine organization, and I feel quite privileged to be part of it.
Well, I'm really excited that you're joining us today because we don't get many men, so I'm very excited that you're going to be cooking today. And before we started the show, I was asking Chuck if you'd cook much, and you are quite the chef at home, aren't you? So, you know, we're going to have him getting to get involved in the recipe today. No baking. Not a big baker, so we're not going to bake today. What we are going to make today is a quick breakfast tostada. I love breakfast. I can't stress the importance of breakfast enough. And what I really, really like about this recipe, there are many things. One, it only involves the microwave. Two, I know you see a lot of different ingredients out here, but I wanted to do that for the purpose of letting everyone know that this is really you. It's really up to you and what you want to make of your little tostada. So we wanted to add a lot of color. We want to add a little, variance so that you can kind of see some of the different ideas you can do to your tostada. The other reason I like it is it's not the typical cereal with your fruit, which I know a lot of people eat, and nothing wrong with that. It's a little heartier, especially if you're on the go, if you're someone who has a hard time getting in those snacks in between your meals. This is really nice and hearty that it's really going to stick with you until you get to lunch.
Right.
Exactly, and we'll talk about the nutrition as we get into it a little bit. But I have to ask you guys, are you breakfast eaters? Edith?
Yes, I am. I love breakfast. And my day doesn't start, even if the breakfast begins at 12 noon. That's when my day starts because I just feel breakfast is so important. I grew up that way.
Good.
Breakfast is very important to us.
And is breakfast something other than a cup of coffee? I know all of you who love your coffee, but coffee is not breakfast. That doesn't count. Do you have something else besides coffee?
I do. I have bacon and eggs, and or else I will have, waffles or French fries, French toast. French toast. Oh yeah, you can have that because that's potatoes. The fried potatoes, in the morning. And I don't know what I meant to say. Not French fries, French toast.
Okay.
It's wonderful. And of course, I always have. I grew up partially Martha's Vineyard and on the mainland here. And in the morning, we used to go out and pick our blueberries.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so it was
Nothing
nice.
Beats that.
Always.
Oh, my God.
And we had a strawberry patch out there. And so it was always fresh fruits with our cereal or breakfast.
Good.
Whatever kind of breakfast.
Well, you passed. You eat breakfast, and it's not just coffee. Now, Chuck, you're on the spot. Do you have breakfast, and is it more than coffee?
I have breakfast every morning, and it certainly is more than coffee. It's a rather boring breakfast. I've done it for as long as I can remember. It's 4 ounces of yogurt. It's a banana, and it's 4 ounces of yogurt and a 10-ounce glass of water.
So, wow,
that's great.
I've done that for as long as I can remember.
Yeah, water's very good for you.
Right. The thing with breakfast is I get so many excuses of, I'm running late. I don't have enough time in the morning. I'm not a morning person. I don't like to eat that early in the morning. And, we have to remember what breakfast is. Think of the word. It's breaking the fast of the night.
Exactly.
And for all of us, each day goes by. Aging is going against us. We can't control the fact that we're getting older every day. And unfortunately, that metabolism, slowly by slowly, is just knocking away. And breakfast is one of those ways to counteract that. We all want our metabolism to be really as high as we want, right?
Yes,
Nobody wants it in the gutters. So breakfast is huge. I mean, ideally, if you can get breakfast in within an hour, hour and a half of waking up, that's helpful.
I couldn't do that.
Well, we're going to work on that, Edith. if you work out, that's different. If you're working out within an hour of getting up, that's different. You know, you work out and then you want to try to eat, you know, within a half hour to hour from when you get done working out. And it can be something, you know, it can be something as large as potatoes and eggs and bacon and fruit. It can be something as simple as what you said, Chuck, 4 ounces of yogurt and a piece of fruit. It's really whatever works for you. And it doesn't have to be your typical breakfast food either. You know, say you had leftovers last night. I will tell you, I am known for getting out, what did I get out this morning? My shrimp and orzo basil from last night, because you know what? It's breakfast. And that's what works. You know, you want it to be healthy. You want to really have some protein. You want to have a good protein source in there. You know, a lot of people will say that cereal and fruit tends to be what they have. And again, nothing is wrong with that. But things to keep in mind and to maybe think about breakfast in a different way of getting different types of items in is cereal. Most people end up eating 2 to 3 servings of cereal. And it's predominantly carbs. You know, when I ask people to pour out how much of cereal they have in their bowl, and we check it with the label, it tends to be at least double or sometimes triple the amount. And then on top of it, the fruit. So you're starting your day with just a tremendous amount of carbs, and you don't really have enough protein and fat to sustain you. So if you're someone who that's your typical breakfast, yes, it definitely has some good nutrition to it. But you may find that it's not really holding you over. A lot of people say, you know, man, I am hungry within a couple hours because you don't have that protein and fat to kind of really bring you along. So, you know, while cereal and fruit is great, it's really, really important to really have some sort of significant source of protein in the morning. It may not be eggs every day. It could, like I said, it could be those leftovers. And so it is important to have protein. Protein is a really big source, in addition to the carbs, especially if you're diabetic. It's really important that you're adding that protein or your blood sugars are just going to go through the roof within an hour of waking up. So,
what would you add to my breakfast or subtract?
Well, with your yogurt, I think if you had a Greek yogurt so that it has more of that protein.
And it usually is Greek yogurt.
Perfect. So that right away tells me that you have a significant source of protein and your fruit and the yogurt has carbs. Also, if you wanted to add maybe some nuts, like we're going to do a little yogurt parfait to complement this meal too. You could add some flaxseed or nuts. That's a healthy source of fat. So, but it all depends on you. You know, that's a smaller breakfast. So if you have a snack before lunch, then that's well within, you know, fitting into what works for you. Probably not enough if you're eating at 7 a.m. and you're not eating until noon, 1 o'clock. That's probably not enough food to hold you over. But if you're eating 2 or 3 hours later, that would be fine. But adding some healthy fats would be a nice addition. Or maybe you add a little bit more yogurt. So instead of 4 ounces, maybe you have 6 or 8 ounces with your fruit, and then you add some flaxseed or nuts to get some fat, so you kind of have that nice balance of protein, fats, and carbs.
Thank you.
Good question.
And then when you were mentioning about the cereals, I think the way I understood it, it was that you're talking about box cereals.
Yes, I am. Cold cereal, yes.
Right. Well, growing up, we had oatmeal, wheatina, and cream of wheat. Right, and these are the things that we had, and I used it because I'm an only child and an only grandchild, so it was always light cream on my cereal. Loved it, you know, so this is what I had when hot cereals, that's what we grew up on. So that's the difference of like generational changes within health when you think about people in different health ailments, you can tell which ones were at what stage of life because of the foods that they ate at that time.
So I'm glad you brought that up. Yes, I meant cold cereal. You know, the box cereals. And those really do vary. Again, cereal is a culprit. I hate to bring up the sodium, but cereal can have a ton of sodium. Cereal can have a ton of sugar. So if I could give 3 tips for cereal, if you are cereal lovers, one would be make sure that first ingredient has a whole grain source in it. There are tons of cereal choices out there, so you know you can find one for sure. Or mix it together. Maybe you mix a bran with a wheat, so you're getting a little bit of both. Number 2 would be make sure the sodium is less than 140 milligrams. And I have to warn you, that might not be that easy. Some people are really, really shocked by how much sodium are in cereals. Because you know, it has more of the sweet. When we think of cereals, it's sweet. We don't think of the sodium. But you know, salt preserves. So. So number 2, I'd say less than 140 milligrams of sodium. Number 3, per serving, if it can have less than 10 grams of sugar. We know there's tons of cereals out there that are really, I'll say it, pretty much glorified desserts. You know, with chocolate and marshmallows and nice little crunches.
I still can't get over chocolate for, you know, like in pancakes. You know, chocolate is a dessert to me. It'll always be a dessert, so don't give it to me as a breakfast because I'll just leave it there and I just can't do it, you know. It's not me for as far as having some kind of a dessert.
And it's becoming more, I think, of a norm is to have these overly sweetened cereals. So that number 3rd tip would be if you can find a cereal that has less than 10 grams of sugar, at least you know that you're finding some cereal that's a whole grain, that's lower in sodium, and it's not just overly ridden by sugar. So, all right, let's get to the cooking. Like I said, this is a quick breakfast tostada. I got this off of Cooking Light, which is one of my favorite recipes. And then, you know, we doctored up some of the ingredients that we'll talk about as we get to make this. So, Chuck.
Yes.
You are going to start with 1/4 of a cup of milk into the bowl. You know, predominantly if you can get low-fat milk, skim or like 1% is going to be the best. If you only have milk for your coffee and it happens to be, you know, vitamin D and you're using a small amount, that's fine. A little bit of salt and pepper. You know, eggs do have a very natural, you know, not a whole lot of flavor. So adding a little bit of salt, just a pinch. And then what we're going to do is instead of full eggs, we're going to do 4 egg whites and 2 whole eggs. So if you want to crack those in the bowl. And, you know, before we...
It's a plastic bowl.
Oh, you know what? Maybe we could use that. The glitches we have to learn once we start doing it. And, you know, we were talking earlier, Chuck and Edith and I, about eggs because just the whole topic of eggs and nutrition has really changed throughout the year.
It has.
You know, I know Chuck and Edith, you both said growing up, eggs were kind of this stay away.
Well, no, when I was growing up, we had eggs, you know, and farm eggs and all that. People used to come to the homes and sell eggs from Tiverton.
Oh.
Yeah, they used to have their own, you know, chicken coops and all that. They used to come and sell them from door to door, And we always ate eggs. And all of a sudden, I don't know when about 20 years ago, it started saying, oh, we shouldn't be eating eggs because it's too much cholesterol. And so that's when people started saying, and I said, well, I've been eating eggs. I didn't pay attention anyway because I just feel that's some kind of, you know, it's a way of keeping people away from that business, you know, the egg business and all that. And then it turned right around.
You're right, and that these types of situations happen, you know, from time to time. Again, and it does make it difficult as a nutrition educator because it really does leave people confused.
It does.
You know, eggs had a really bad rep for a while.
It certainly
because
did.
at the time they were finding that, you know, with heart disease and cholesterol. I will pause there for a minute. Chuck, all you're going to do is exactly what you did. You whisk it up. We are putting it in a microwave-safe pan. We are going to put it on high for 3 minutes. So this is great for any of you who don't really like to use the stove. If you know.
And when we get older too.
That's why I love this recipe because it's really just the microwave and you know, when it's done, it's done. If you forget about it, it's not going to continue to cook. You know, hey, I've had that happen before. I'm cleaning or doing something else,
I know.
But, you know, really with eggs, the relationship with cholesterol and our blood cholesterol going up. And, you know, we know eggs are high in cholesterol. They have about 200 milligrams per egg, which is now really what we should be limiting ourselves to a day. Dietary cholesterol is 200 milligrams. So really the health industry thought, oh my gosh, we have to stop, it's making the cholesterol go up. Well, as research really got into the heart disease and really what are factors making our cholesterol go up, they found that it wasn't the dietary cholesterol as much as it was saturated fat. So saturated fat is in our whole milk and in our meats and in our skins of our chicken. Excuse me. So with that, they really kind of laid off the egg a little bit.
Yeah, right, they did.
Now the new recommendation is up to 1 egg yolk a day.
Okay.
And that can be a little confusing. If you don't eat eggs every day, you can have that 1 egg. If you have eggs, you know, 2 or 3 times a week, it's really not a big deal.
Right.
The breakdown of the egg is the yolk is where all the fat and the cholesterol is. But we have to remember that's where all those wonderful nutrients are. There's a great source of zinc. There's choline that they're finding is really good for brain health. B vitamins. There is a little bit of calcium in eggs. The egg whites are really where we get our protein. So you can really do as many egg whites as you want, and it tends to be that staple of when we think of like people bodybuilding or trying to gain you know, muscle. We always think of egg whites, but you know, don't shy away from the yolks. They're not the bad guy that I think they were made to be a while ago, which is unfortunate, and like I said, it does make people feel very confused.
Right, exactly.
So enjoy those eggs. If you are someone who loves eggs every single day, then what you want to do is a mixture of what Chuck just put together. Maybe you do an egg with maybe half the yolk, and then you can do a couple egg whites so that you're getting the bulk of the eggs and you're adding more in terms of substance, but you're not getting all of the cholesterol. You can make it work. You can make it work. Most definitely. So our eggs are almost done. Depending on your microwave, you know, it might be 2 minutes, it might be 4 minutes. So you'll just want to check on the egg. And please be careful, because if you are using glass, ideally you want to use glass over plastic, even though it's microwave safe. You want to do glass, and it will be very hot, so we have to be careful here.
Yes, that's why it has all the pot holders here. Be careful when you...
And I think, we find we need probably another minute or so, We're going to clear it.
Well, this was like the comedian that was having, he was down at Duke University. At one time, Duke University was the place that everybody that was obese went.
Oh, is that right?
Yes, yes. And then they told him that he could have 12 eggs. He said, 12 eggs, 12 egg yolks. And he said,
yolks?
No, 12
whites.
12 egg
like,
whites.
What?
And he said, you should have seen my sandwich that thick. And he said, where's the rest of the food?
Well, typically there's 2 egg whites to 1 egg. So that's a good reference point for you if you're baking, you know, and they do call for a lot of eggs and you're trying to lower the fat or cholesterol. It's 2 egg whites for every full egg. But yes, when we think of 12 eggs, 12 egg yolks is a very different story. That's pretty much cut in half.
But the whites, and he thought, he was on television. That's how come I know. I was watching him. And he cracked us all up because he said, the sandwich was this big.
Big difference.
And he said, where's the rest of the food? That's your food for today.
I know. And
you wanted it all at once, there you got it.
But, you know, the eggs have a place. So, you know, hopefully, you know, you're not as confused about eggs in the cholesterol scene. But if you do have a very strong history of heart disease and your cholesterol and you're on medication, you know, you may not want to have a full egg every single
that's true. You've got to use, you know, with moderation.
Absolutely. You have to really go by what your medical history has been, and certainly things that your doctor has, you know, suggested for you as well.
Not quite.
I think we need a little bit more here. So in moving forward a little bit, what we're going to do next is when the egg is done, we are going to put it on our tortilla. And the recipe calls for a corn tortilla, but I wanted to get a flour or corn tortilla. And just really kind of talk a little bit about the difference of the nutrition. So the corn tortilla, I would say, I don't see it used probably as much. A lot of people really default to the wheat one. Yeah. But in terms of nutrition, just to kind of give you guys a breakdown, one corn tortilla is about 50 calories. A mini wheat tortilla is 160. So you can have three corn tortillas for the amount of calories as one wheat tortilla. So that's one difference. The other difference is sodium. Have to bring the sodium in, and another place where it can be sneaky is, you know, and I have to say, I won't name the brand, but I like to cook a lot of Mexican dishes, and so I always have flour tortillas in my house. And I looked under the label, and for one tortilla, it was 500 milligrams of sodium.
Really?
And I'm like, I'm a dietitian. I'm feeding myself and my husband.
Yeah.
So it's really important, again, another lesson to look at those labels. I found just a generic brand, and for one tortilla, it's 160 milligrams of sodium. Any idea of corn? Would you think it's less, more?
Well, I think it's less.
Less?
I would say it's less. However,
would you believe
it's more?
Zero. It's 0 milligrams of sodium.
Wow.
So not only can you have 3 of these for the calories of one, you have 0 milligrams of sodium versus 160. Protein is the same. Carbs for 2 of these, well, I will say each tortilla is about 10 grams of carbs. Each of the wheat is about 28. And the fiber will differ based on if you choose a whole grain tortilla or not. But corn naturally is a whole grain. So you don't have to worry about if it's a whole grain or not. Corn's going to be a whole grain. So for every tortilla, it's about a gram of fiber. So the wheat might have a little bit more fiber, but if you're really trying to tackle the calories or the sodium, you may really want to consider the corn. And I have to tell you, even price-wise, these corn tortillas, there was a pack of 18. And the wheat, there's a pack of 8. And the corn were actually cheaper. And you get 18 versus 8. So just some little knowledge on tortillas for you all. So, all right. So now we're going to just take the spatula and cut it into 4 pieces. So that we can then each make our tostada.
Who gets the extra?
Oh, we can divide that amongst us. Now, Chuck, would you like a corn or a wheat tortilla?
Well, I think I'm going to take the corn.
You're going to take the corn. Do you want to put that egg on that corn one?
Absolutely.
Beautiful. Okay. And Edith, what would you like? Would you like corn or would you like wheat?
Yes, the corn.
I've got you all convinced the corn, right?
I like corn anyway.
Quick sell.
Beautiful. So we're just going to layer the egg on there, and then, here, I'll take that.
Okay, it's hot.
And then now the fun begins. And this is something I think is just great for all ages. If you've got kids, grandkids, even when you're on the go. If it's just you, you've got 4 days worth of tostadas here. That you can make one for, maybe you have a couple because they're on the corn, but maybe you just have one and you're going to balance it with our little yogurt parfait we're going to make in a second. But now really, it's up to you what you want on it. So what we've put is beans. I've got black beans and pinto beans. Big thing with beans are rinse that can.
The sodium.
I've noticed people over the years comment on beans. I have to tell you that as a nutritionist, beans are probably one of the most underrated foods, underappreciated foods, because they are so full of wonderful nutrition, low in fat, high in fiber, a great source of carbs, a wonderful source of protein, iron, a ton of different vitamins and minerals.
Yes.
They really help to keep you full and really help to maintain those blood sugars because of the fiber. People will say, oh, you know, the gastrointestinal effects of beans. So rinsing it does two things. One, it can get rid of about 40% of the sodium. And two, if you give them a good rinse, it really does help to alleviate some of those GI problems. The other thing is if you don't eat beans a lot, and then all of a sudden you eat a whole bunch of beans, your body's like, whoa.
Yes.
So, you know, if you don't eat beans a lot, just start a little. Just start with a half a cup. Start with a few tablespoons of beans. Don't overdo it. But beans is a really great complement to this dish. And then we have some other toppings, like we got some cilantro, because this is kind of going on the Mexican theme. We have some red onion or green onion, depending on your preference. The green onion is going to have a little bit more of a milder of a flavor, so if you don't want onion breath at 8 in the morning. Cheese is also a great addition to this. If you don't want the typical shredded, cheddar cheese, I did a different alternative, like feta. Feta has a lot more moisture, a lot more water, so it's going to be a little bit lower in fat and sodium than like a cheddar cheese. And then some other great toppings like salsa and avocado. I love avocados for this dish. Not only gives it color, and you see, I mean, we've got green, we've got red, we've got black, we've got brown, we've got red and green. So this is a really, really beautiful way to have a colorful dish for, first thing in the morning.
Yes.
Right.
So Chuck, why don't you put your little tostada however you'd like, and Edith, what would you like on yours?
Oh, I'm going to have beans. I want the other brown.
The pinto beans?
Yes, please.
And this is what's nice about this dish. You can make it however it works for you. It's a great way to get the kids involved.
Yes,
would you like some onions?
Yes, onion.
And I'm going to take some black beans. I'm going to add a little bit of both. Why not? And this is where it can be customized to you. I think this is also a great dish. It doesn't necessarily have to be breakfast either.
Yeah, right.
I grew up, every once in a while, we'd have breakfast for dinner. And I think this is another great example of how you could also make this for dinner time.
This would be a great dinner, actually.
Yes.
Yeah, there's a wonderful balance. I will say that for the nutrition of this, would you like salsa or avocado?
Avocado, please.
Nice.
Thank you.
Thank you. And I'm going to take some cilantro. So when you're done putting your tostada together, it's just going to go in the microwave for 30 seconds. So again, another little zap. I'm going to put yours in, Edith.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Well, talking about breakfast for dinner, that was one of the old customs too, because people used to say, well, the children used to have scrambled eggs at dinner time, and the old-fashioned people used to say, what kind of a dinner is that, But it's usually we'll say, the American family, to the old country family.
Right.
See, that's, they believed in all the big heavy stuff at night. And then, if you gave someone scrambled eggs or some French toast or something like that, that's not it's a breakfast.
Next.
How long?
Yeah, and we think of eggs predominantly in the morning, but why? It doesn't really have to be.
Yeah, nobody labeled it in the morning.
And that's what I love about breakfast is it doesn't have to be the typical what we think of breakfast. Same thing with eggs. It can be at night, it can be in the morning. This recipe, in terms of nutrition, is a really great recipe for diabetics, for people with heart disease, high blood pressure. There's a really rich source of protein. The carbs is around 23 grams, but about 5 grams of fiber. So you're getting a really, really nice balance. Protein is about 15 grams of protein, because not only you have the egg, but you also have those beans, a little bit of the cheese. So in terms of, diabetes though, 23 grams is a little bit lower than what you would want for a complete meal. So what we're going to make as a complement to this, Edith is going to do this in about 3 minutes. So I'm going to time myself and see if she can do it. Another really great addition to this tostada is going to be a nice little homemade little yogurt parfait. And so, let me put this in here.
Do you want me to begin?
Yes.
You're up.
So we took
Off to the races.
We took some plain yogurt. So instead of buying a pre-fruited yogurt, all I did was buy some frozen blueberries and put them in the microwave for a few seconds because that will draw the juices out. So we're almost making a homemade blueberry yogurt without all that added sugar. A sneaky little way that we're gonna sweeten it is the little secret is you're gonna add just a little bit of vanilla. That is a really easy way to sweeten this without actually adding sugar. But to add things, beautiful. For those of you who have a hard time really stomaching plain yogurt, we will add just a little bit of honey. But the nice thing is, it's in our control. We can choose how much we add. So we're just gonna a little drizzle there.
Oh, that's great.
And then
love honey.
For some nice crunch, which we talked about with your yogurt, is just take some nice ground up, finely ground walnuts, or if you have flaxseed at home, and we're just gonna whip that up.
That's good.
And hopefully you won't miss having your fruit yogurt because this is a great way to have like a homemade fruited yogurt without all that extra sugar. So you want to plate that for us? I mean, you want to scoop a little bit on for us? And then it's great because, you know, we've just added some vegetables, you know, between our salsa and our avocado and our onions. We have a nice serving of blueberries for our fruit. So you're getting, I mean, how colorful is this? This is beautiful.
Beautiful, it absolutely is.
And full of wonderful vitamins and minerals, which is great.
Not even getting it to the plate yet.
Thank you, that's fine.
Okie dokie.
And then spoon.
Up above. Nope.
Here?
Go more. Right there. Yellow box.
There we go.
Let's see. So put the
Blueberries
other
add great
Tostito,
color to the
Oh,
yogurt.
isn't it?
They really
Beautiful.
do. And blueberries have been kind of on those top antioxidants lists for quite some time. That dark purple is such a rich antioxidant, which means it's an anti-inflammatory for our body. Whenever we have chronic disease, it's really when our body is in a state of inflammation. So when we can eat foods that are anti-inflammatory, it really does help to manage those chronic diseases a lot better. So you can have a fork with this, and I'm realizing that I've added way too much on my tortilla. Or you can do it the messy and fun way and just eat it with your fingers. I think there's some forks down here if you want. So I will do it the messy way because that's what I'm used to. But let's try this yogurt. This looks so good. I don't miss the fruit yogurt at all.
Yeah, this is
very
great.
Good.
Very good.
Very good.
Vanilla
Delicious.
is a nice little secret to get that little sweetness. And yogurts can be loaded with sugar. And as a diabetic, that can be a really difficult thing to find and try to manage within your limits of your meals. So this is just a nice, quick, easy way.
And the honey's a nice touch.
And you can control, again, how much you do.
Right.
Now for those tortillas, those tostadas, let's see.
We all go in the messy way?
Let's do it. Yep, let's do it. Let's get messy, right?
Right. Very delicious.
Yum. I am making that tomorrow. That is delicious.
That's very
Absolutely delicious. Thank you so much, Chuck. I hope that we've inspired you to make something a little different. Maybe you can make this for dinner for your wife.
That's right. I made this tonight.
Good. And as always, thank you, Edith.
And nice meeting you.
Nice meeting you.
Yes.
We hope that you all got a little inspired and maybe a little motivated to have a nice, colorful breakfast. And, you know, hopefully you found that, you know, with how versatile this is, you can really make it work for you and for various members in your family, too. So thank you for watching, and make sure to watch the recipe scroll so you can make it at home. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you. Bye-bye.